On behalf of Smith Limited, I welcome you all to Q2 FY22 conference call of Nitin Spinners Limited. We are pleased to host the top management of the company. Today we have with us Mr. Dinesh Nolka, Managing Director of Nitin Spinners, and Mr. P. Maheshwari, Chief Financial Officer of the company. We will start the call with initial commentaries on results, and then we will open the floor for question and answer. Now I hand over the call to Mr. Nolka, Managing Director. Over to you, Dinesh sir.
Thank you, Avinash, and the management of Smith for hosting this call. Good afternoon and warm welcome to all the participants to the post-result investor and analyst meet of Nitin Spinners Limited. I hope you are all keeping safe and healthy. I hope you had a look at our investor presentation that is uploaded on our website at stock exchanges. As you all know, Nitin Spinners is a leading manufacturer of cotton yarn, blended yarn, and knitted fabrics, along with woven fabrics. The company's leadership in cotton and blended yarn and the fabric manufacturing is driven by continuous investment in the latest technology, resulting in delivering international standard quality products and optimum cost. The company has achieved in this quarter highest ever top line and bottom line. This was cumulative result of better capacity utilization, focus on value-added products and cost efficiencies, coupled with strong export and pickup in domestic demand. During the quarter, we also have added about 7,296 spindles to our operations, and yarn capacity has increased to 75,000 tons per annum from 72,000 tons per annum earlier. As you all know, the textile industry is going through a structural change and witnessing strong demand from major consuming countries. Government's thrust on Atmanirbhar Bharat is expected to surge internal demand for raw materials, thereby uplifting the industry and its ecosystem. We aim to capitalize on growth opportunities rising from investment promotion schemes of the state governments and the newly announced schemes of the central government as well. Many countries have adopted China Plus One policy, and we are seeing a shift of the same happening to various other countries. We endeavor to maintain the top line growth momentum by optimizing capacity utilization and continue to add value-added products and use of sustainable fibers and adding capacities at our existing locations, along with exploring new markets across the geographies. I now hand over the call to Mr. Maheshwari, who is along with me here, Chief Financial Officer, to give you the operating and financial highlights for Q2 and half year ended in September. Maheshwari.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining the call. I would like to touch upon the operational and financial highlights for the quarter ended 30th September 2021, as well as half year ended 30th September 2021. Revenues for Q2 FY22 increased to rupees 665 crores from rupees 427 crores in Q2 FY21. That is an increase of 56% on YOY basis. The half-yearly revenue stood at 1,218 crores as compared to 646 crores in FY21 half year, registering a growth of 89% on year-on-year basis. EBITDA for the quarter stood at 178 crores as compared to 55 crores in Q2 FY21. That is a growth of 220% on year-on-year basis. For half year, EBITDA stood at 306.08 crores as against 79 crores in H1 FY21. EBITDA margin for Q2 FY22 is 26.7%. That is improvement in margin was supported by road tax benefits. If we adjust the earlier period road tax benefit, the EBITDA margin for the quarter is 24.7%. Reported PAT for the quarter is 87 crores as against rupees 12 crores in Q2 FY21. That is 633% growth on year-on-year basis. On half-yearly basis, profit after tax was rupees 147 crores against rupees 3 crores in half-year FY21. EPS and cash EPS for the quarter was rupees 15.54 rupees and rupees 19.42 respectively. During 6 months of this year, we reduced debt by 227 crores from March 21 level. As regards operational efficiency, during the quarter, we produced 1,500 metric tons of yarn as against 16,700 metric tons in Q2 FY21. About 25% yarn is captively used for knitted fabrics and woven fabrics. Knit fabric production was 2,378 metric tons during the quarter, which was 1,818 metric tons for the same period last quarter. Woven fabric production for the quarter was 67.33 lakh meters against 65.83 lakh meters in Q2 21, whereas finished fabric production was 49.53 lakh meters in Q2 22 against 30.82 lakh meters in Q2 21. I would like to conclude my commentary with the strong belief that we would achieve strong top line and bottom line growth for the rest of the year with the outlook of strong demand going forward at domestic as well as global level. Now I open the floor for question and answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Yash Agarwal from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir, and congrats on a very, very strong set of numbers. My first question was, what was the average yarn realizations in the second quarter, and could you also give some highlight of what the current yarn realization is? And the second question is that we've been hearing that the cotton prices for the new season are up from about 47,000 rupees a candy to in excess of 70,000 rupees a candy. So incrementally, is it fair to assume that the spreads could be under pressure, maybe from the once our low-cost cotton inventory gets over? These are the two questions from my side.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to answer your question number 2 first, and then I will be able to give you the first data. The cooling is about 66,500 rupees per candy, and in the last quarter, average ruling price was about 52 to 53,000 rupees a candy. So there is an increase of about 20% in the prices in this quarter. I think presently there is a very good demand of yarn, and most of the increase in the prices is getting in rupee terms or maybe in per kg terms. I mean, last quarter's average realization price of our yarn was in the range of about 320 rupees per kg, and I think at this point of time this is running at about 355 to 360 rupees a kg.
So what you're saying that the cotton consumed in the second quarter was at 52,000 rupees a candy, and now it's 65,000. Is that
No, not consumed. I'm telling you the ruling prices. I'm not telling what prices it has been consumed. What was the consumption cost? I'm telling you the prices basically. Consumption cost may vary as per the quality which we are using and depends. I'm telling you the base prices of the raw material at the moment.
Sure. So, a follow-up question was that were we sitting on some low-cost cotton inventory in the second quarter, or you would say that broadly our cost was in line with what the market price average was in the second quarter?
Our raw material prices were more or less in sync with what was the market prices, and there was no such extraordinary low cost. Minor 1 or 2-3% plus minus is definitely cannot be accounted for, but there was no major as such low cost inventory with us.
So one more question was that what is the general margin difference that we are having in yarn and in the value-added segment, as in which is more remunerative, I would believe, the fabric and denim split?
So this margin, additional margin for the fabric, typically depends on the products which you are manufacturing. It is totally, it can be different for different products. What if you are doing dyeing, printing, finishing, then it will be different. If you do only grades, then it is different. So you cannot quantify. Of course, it is value-added accretive, but at this point of time, when the prices of raw materials have steeped, means raw materials as well as the other intermediates like coal, like dyes and chemicals, everything, all these prices have increased substantially in last 3-4 months. So it takes some time to pass on those prices. If apart from that, definitely that is more value-added and more value accretive.
So are we getting the right price hikes, or going forward, do you believe that the price hikes would come about in the fabric segment?
Definitely, it is looking so that whatever, as we see at this point of time, the channel is empty. We are not seeing too much of stocks in the pipeline because of COVID. Because of COVID, nobody was buying domestically. Means the buying was very less last quarter in the domestic market. So we see that, and prices have increased across the board, not related with one manufacturer. So we definitely feel that this will be passed on in due course of time.
And last question, sir, is cotton prices expected to rise further from here, or do you feel this could be the peak, 66,000-67,000 rupees that you said?
This is something which is very difficult to answer. This depends on a lot of international and domestic factors. Of course, the cotton prices have run up. I can comment this, and these in such circumstances, normally prices once consolidates at a lower level, and then maybe at the end of the season can go up again. But
Sure.
This is all depending on the supply side disruptions which is happening, or what is happening in the rest of the world.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for answering my questions, and best of luck for future performances. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Shah from KSA Securities. Please go ahead. Mr. Shah, your line is unmuted. You may please go ahead with your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah, sir, good evening and thanks for the opportunity. Sir, can you highlight upon the future prospects of our industry and especially even particularly our company as far as value-added products is concerned, and how we are going ahead with the growth trajectory ahead from here on for next 2-3 years? Because I suppose we are about to consume the full capacity what we have. So at full capacity, what turnover we can do, and what additional we are doing to enhance the capacity and growth path ahead?
As far as the textile industry as such is concerned, it looks quite promising with all over the world, and we are seeing that there is a lot of, I think, demand coming towards the Indian textile industry. Also, government is doing right to improve upon the exports as well as in the international market. So the future looks promising. As far as capacity is concerned, I think we are nearly getting fully utilized for our spinning capacity. For our knitting capacity also, we are nearly fully utilized. In fact, we are running at more than 90% capacity. And in wovens, we are reaching nearly our top capacity now this quarter. So definitely, as far as utilization is there, we will be running at full capacities in the next half year. Regarding the top line from this, it depends a lot on the prices at which we fetch. Like if we, as we have seen, that raw material prices have gone up by around 35-40% in last 6 to 8 months. So consequently, the yarn finished products prices also increasing. So accordingly, the top line keeps on varying. So I cannot comment exactly on that, on what top line we would be achieving or where we can be with this capacity, because if the prices increase further, we may have to. I hope to maintain the second quarter performance in top line going forward as well, as far as this year is concerned. As far as the future growth is concerned, we are now definitely planning for various capacity expansions. As I said in my opening remark as well, that we are looking for brownfield expansions at this point of time at our existing the two locations which we have, and we are evaluating various options to grow our business.
So have we lined up any drawing, or is still on a drawing board, or what capex are we going to spend? Have we finalized, or are we going for PLI schemes or anything else?
First of all, we are not going for PLI scheme at this point of time. Basically, because of since PLI scheme as such in the base form envisages a greenfield expansion in a new company.
Correct.
And as such, existing infrastructure cannot be used for that purpose. So we are considering, at this moment, we are not considering any investment in PLI. They've already represented through our various textile associations and also directly to the textile ministry about this and requested for certain modifications. Also, certain products which they have envisaged are also not complete in full form. So we are definitely talking to them for that. So at the moment, we do not have any plans for PLI, but definitely we are making the plans for our existing businesses. They are getting ready, and as soon as they are ready, we'll definitely inform all our investors.
So approx what capex are you able to
share? At the moment, I would not like to comment on that, because we are evaluating various deliveries of equipment, various businesses, what kind of capacities ramp up we can do. So all those things we are working out. I would request you to wait for some time, some more time. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Sir, we have been doing phenomenally good on export side. So still our export demand is so buoyant, or even we are thinking to spread our wings in domestic market, or export is sufficient enough to fully occupy our business, because we are increasing export every quarter on quarter.
Sir, it is more of a compulsion rather than choice. Actually, as we in the first quarter we saw that we were having a lot of lockdowns in our country, so we had to shift to export businesses. In second, and then RoDTEP was announced, which was a very good incentive for us to move, tilt ourselves toward exports. So at this point so we are seeing that exports have been commercially more beneficial. So we have accordingly tilted our balances towards exports. However, we are very active and agile about the domestic market, and is definitely trying to here as well.
My last question was, can you highlight upon your focus on new areas of growth, like or use of organic cotton, use of recycled polyester staple fiber, or anything? What else you can throw us?
Of course, we have been. Our focus has been on the various, upcoming products like coarse spun yarn, stretch-based yarn. Also, we are focusing on organic yarn, recycled cotton, recycled polyester. So all the kinds of products, and also we are concentrating a lot on super fine imported cotton yarn like Giza and Pima. So these are various products which we are already producing and focusing on, and will continue to focus, which will add value to our products.
That's great. And sir, what will be our debt position at the end of this year?
At the end of this year, I think long-term debts would be somewhere in the range of about 400 crores. And of course, working capital debt, which is at about 130 crores at this point of time, depends on the kind of cotton inventories which we carry into the next year.
That's great. So much reducing debt. Thank you, sir. Wish you good luck to you, sir.
Thank you. The next question from the line of Abhilasha Sitale from Dalal and Broacha. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me opportunity. So I want to know that how much RoDTEP benefit we have accounted for in this quarter, and without this benefit, how much has been our margin? So basically, have we also accounted for the previous? Is it till year till date which has come entirely in this quarter?
Yes, 1st January till 30th September has been accounted for in this quarter. If we have given the breakup also in our results. It is about 7.5 crore rupees for the Q4 of last year, 9.8 crore rupees for Q1 of this year, and about 9.7 crores for this particular quarter. So if we remove this, our revenue would have been about 647.28 crores for this quarter. EBITDA would have been about 160 crores, thus giving us margins of about 24.73%.
Okay. Yeah, fine. Thank you. And one more thing, we have said that the cotton prices have increased 66,500. So can we assume this would be the cotton cost for the season? Because I think we would be inventorying cotton by December, January, like we would inventory most of our cotton requirement. So this would be the cotton cost, average cotton cost for the season?
No, this will not be the average cotton cost for this particular quarter, because we were already carrying some inventories of last cotton season. And of course, when this season also started, so it's 55,000, and then now in early November, it has reached at this level. So definitely, it will not be at this level, it will be lesser than this.
Okay, fine. And sir, actually, like we have also said that the yarn realization during the same period has increased from 320 rupees per kg to 350 rupees per kg. So which, if I calculate on a per candy basis, then overall it is a similar in what we have seen in the cotton price. So largely we have passed on this cotton price increase in the yarn realization. So on a per kg basis, per ton basis, our margins would be similar on a quarter-on-quarter basis or going ahead, in third and fourth quarter.
Basically, on per kg basis, it looks that we have been able to pass on, and we should be able to maintain our margins for Q3. For Q4, we have still to see the next season which is coming in and what kind of prices of cotton remain. Basically, there's volatility in the prices, means up and down. If there is a sharp volatility, then definitely this impacts business sentiment, and then the customers as well as the suppliers both become more cautious of the pricing. So we'll have to see and evaluate for the Q4, but Q3 it looks like that in per kg basis we should be able to maintain the margin.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Yogesh Jaswani from Mittal Analytics. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for the opportunity. A lot of my question is already covered in the discussion so far. So just trying to get more sense on the yarn spread. So currently the yarn spreads that you are seeing for Q3, are they higher than what we saw in Q2, or are they almost flat?
Margins are more or less in line, similar line.
Got it. And sir, in terms of overall cotton production, I think the cotton production is a bit stressed. So do you feel the cotton prices have the potential to go further up from here? What's your take on it?
Production in India is estimated to be about 360 lakh bales, which is more or less same as last year. Of course, global production is down by about 2.5%. So, and global, due to which and also there were supply disruptions like logistics issues and others, due to which the global prices have firmed up substantially. And in last 1 year, they have gone up from 80 cents per pound to about 125 cents per pound, physical prices. So this is a lot of these pricing of rock these days, since we are internationally linked, we have depends on what kind of scenarios is being presented internationally. So it is too at this point of time to predict what is going to happen. But I think in next 1.5 months there will be much more clarity on this part.
Fair enough. So I think Q3 call would be a better time to get more clarity.
Yes, of course.
One last question from my end, and then I'll get back in the queue. So between FY21 and FY22, please let me clarify, is there a scope for further volume growth as well? Because I think in the beginning you mentioned that you are operating at almost full capacity at spinning, knitting and woven fabric. So between FY21 and FY22, is there a scope for more volume growth?
Yes, of course. Means still we have some volume growth left out for us in fabric production side. Definitely there is some volume growth which we can happen. Also, if you see in yarn business, our new capacity has just been added. So slight increase we are seeing in overall production at the moment.
So safe to assume 10-15% kind of volume growth?
No, 10-15% volume growth overall will not be possible from here, because already we are running our yarn business at full capacity. Only the volume growth will happen in the fabric business.
Got it. That's it for us, and I'll get back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manoj Baheti from Carnelian Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi Dineshji, hi Maheshwarji. First of all, congratulations for very good set of numbers. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, very well audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah. Dinesh, just wanted to, you mentioned the brownfield expansion. So the place where we have put our new plant, how much surplus land we are having, and whether that surplus land will be sufficient to take care of brownfield expansion, and also on the utilities part, I think the existing utilities can take care of brownfield expansion, right?
We have first of all land available both at our both locations. Some small parcels of land which is just adjacent to us. If required, if we go some reasonable size expansion. So that is always possible without much incremental cost. As far as utilities is concerned, we have major utilities with us, like infrastructure for electrical infrastructure, other manpower infrastructure is already in place. Definitely, that is going to be an advantage.
Okay. So, so does it mean that if we, whenever we decide about new plant, the execution and commissioning will be much faster, and in terms of capex cost, it will be lower, right?
Yes, of course, execution should be faster because of the existing infrastructure available. But cost-wise, cannot comment on this still, because there is a lot of input prices changes happening in the equipment pricing. Also, as we are seeing that there is a lot of increase in prices of the cement, steel, and other electricals like copper, aluminium. So these prices will definitely get affected into the cost part. We have still to see that part of it. What is the new cost going to be?
Okay. So, how much time will it take, let's say, once you decide to setting up the new facility, assuming like if you have to replicate the similar kind of thing again, so how much time will it take vis-a-vis past?
Replicate what? Our new capacity or existing capacity to be replicated?
The new capacity to be replicated. In case you decide to replicate the new capacity, how much time will it take from decision till commissioning?
Actually, for us, whatever capacity we plan, we will be able to do it in, I think, 12 to 15 months' time. That is a time frame normally we take. This has been in the past. However, these days we are seeing some supply side issues due to this semiconductor chips and machine manufacturers facing some problems due to that. Maybe 1 or 2 months here and there. Otherwise, that is a reasonable period where we can do that.
Got it. So it will be much faster. So, Dinesh, last question I have on the current spreads which we are having between yarn and cotton. What kind of spreads are right now and going forward, like at least for next 2-3 quarters, what kind of feeler you are getting from the market on sustainability of these spreads?
First of all, spreads, as I just explained in my last question, that the spreads were in the range of about 120 rupees, around 120 rupees a kg, which was there in the last quarter, and similar is maintained in this quarter as well. However, going forward,
Dinesh, what is this 120 rupees? 120 rupees is the
difference between the net raw cotton versus the yarn price.
Yarn. Okay.
So this is the spread which we are normally enjoying at this point of time, and that will continue in Q3. But the raw material prices have run up very sharply. So till now it has been absorbed. Now next, how whether further prices are increased, how it is being consumed in the downstream industry, that is going to let us know how the situation.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prerna Jhunjhunwala from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, sir, on a very strong set of numbers. So I just wanted to understand how the demand is panning across segments. For example, apparel versus home textiles, and how are the pass on in the yarn prices, favorable, unfavorable in various segments. Just to help us understand how the demand panning out given the price pressures, even in our consumer segment, and how our margins can pan out going forward, given changes in demand going forward.
Yeah. First of all, as we had seen earlier, there was very good demand for the home textiles due to the COVID impact initially, and later on with the economies opening up, home textile demand remained very, very strong. And it continued to remain strong. Of course, the pricing policies in the home textile segment is for a slightly longer period. So from the next pricing season, generally they will normally have 2 pricing seasons, January to June and June to July to December. So next pricing season, we are looking that most of our customers will be able to pass on the increase in the raw cotton prices. Since this is not a one country or a one geographical area phenomenon, this is across the board, across all countries. So we expect that this increase will be passed on the home textile. In the apparel business, the demand was good in the first, I think 6 or 7 months of this financial year. Picked up very smartly in last 1.5, 2 months. We are seeing that with the opening up and the opening up of our economy, retails have started to open. We are seeing very good demand at the moment for apparel business as well. And so we are seeing that the people have started to go to office, formals have come back in the business, schools have started to open. So we expect very good demand going forward in this. And prices are getting passed on as well. We are seeing that price increases are getting because there is not much in the pipeline.
Sorry, sir, your voice cracked for the last statement.
Yeah, the prices are getting passed on to the customers because there is not much of the goods in the pipeline.
Okay. So that means the barring inventory gain on some part of the margin, rest of all should be sustained for a good time, given the demand remaining strong and even the supply not adding up, supply in the yarn business not adding up to the extent required for a meaningful time from here. Is my statement valid?
First of all, meaningful capacity is definitely not getting added up. So that is very right. And since we are seeing good demand upstream industry, the prices should be passed on, subject to the volatility in basic raw materials. If it is volatile and we see volatility in prices, then there is always a sentiment dampener. Except that phenomenon, I think if the prices remain stable or maybe with a small variation, we should expect that this kind of prices should be sustainable.
Okay. So my second question was on capex. You have pointed out that as of now things are on drawing board, but should we expect a capex coming in the fabric business largely because you are reaching almost full capacity utilization there, and it being the smallest part of the business, at least fabric expansion should be on the cards going forward?
Yes, of course, for us, even spinning business, we are utilizing fully and we are not catering to the domestic market. But that is also a business where we need to grow. So since we are utilizing most of the capacities, we need to look at all of the products holistically and not for a small period of time. We need to look at a long period of time frame when we go for an expansion, the kind of products which we want to manufacture horizontally, what are the demand scenario going forward. So we will consider all those aspects and accordingly spin up our plan.
Okay. Because our cash flows are very strong today and that can accommodate a very good expansion plan. But I think this is on drawing board, so that was the minimum thing that I was expecting, that if to check if at least fabric is what something we should expect, even if spinning obviously is your core product. So with time it can expand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also, sir, any color on your procurement strategy this year, given the volatility in cotton prices?
Good you asked this thing. This is the most assessed part of the strategy this year. As you all know, our strategy has been to be not to build up extraordinary stocks until unless we see the very strong demand of our products in next 6 or 12 months. I think still we are seeing that these prices are getting established. So we'll first evaluate for next 2 months to see how the prices behave going forward and how till what stage it is getting passed on to whether this is getting passed on to the ultimate consumer or not, and then we will take a call about the stocking policy. But we will be we are not going for any huge pile up of inventory at this point of time.
Okay. Understood, sir. So thank you, sir. All the best for a great year going ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Sanchale from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Excellent results. Congratulations. Just one question. Based on your spindle capacity, what is the production in tons per month?
Our production is about 75,000 tons per annum, which turns out to be about 6,200 tons per month.
Okay. Thank you. That was all.
Excuse me, sir, does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
The next question is from the line of Navid Bhaya, for individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. You mentioned that the demand environment is pretty strong. Can you give us some more details about the industry-wide supply scenario? what is the current utilization and how much new capacities are coming up in the next year or so?
First of all, as far as spinning is concerned, we are seeing that demand utilization is now reaching its peak. Already, most of the capacities are getting utilized. At this kind of margin level, normally this happens. So, and with lockdowns lifted all around the country, we are seeing most of the capacity on stream at the moment. However, this is the demand is aided by the very good traction in the exports, and the export numbers are also increasing month on month. It's basically now cotton yarn exports is in the range of about 110 million kg per month. So this used 70 to 75 million kg. We used to have 1,000 million kg exports every year. Now this is about 1,400 to 1,500 million kg in this financial year. So demand is very strong. Right? In the domestic side, we have seen basically weaving and knitting segment is now coming back into the full operation, and that is a very good sign, since a lot of small weavers and knitters were not in operations and were scared of the I would say the third wave scare was there, so that capacity was not getting fully utilized. Now, however, we are seeing capacity is getting fully utilized and domestic is looking pretty good at this point of time. Now, going for spinning capacity addition, we are not seeing much capacity addition at this point of time. Very limited capacity addition is happening at the moment in the industry. But most of the bigger players are now planning investments, and we see that by 23, FY20, by the end of FY23 or in early part of FY24, new capacities will be on the stream.
Okay, so it takes about 2 years to set up a new capacity?
Yeah, at least it takes about, with the kind of present deliveries of the equipment and the disruptions in the machinery segment, minimum time to set up now. If a greenfield project is there, minimum 2 years.
Okay, and when you said high utilization in the spinning segment or in the cotton yarn segment, it would be upwards of 90%, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so till end of 23 or early 24, when these new capacities come up, the utilization level can fairly be expected to be in the higher range only.
Of course.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashok Kumar, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Professor, good afternoon. I have two questions. One is regarding the, as you mentioned that we have a net margin of 120 rupees yarn net margin. So, but in terms of percentage, if you see, and since the cotton price has grown up by 25%, 30%, so I'm sure that unless we increase this margin, net margin on per kilo yarn, our net margin percentage will go down. So are we looking at this direction so that like our net margin percentage is maintained?
You are very right. As the base price increases and the per kg margin remains same, the margin percentage will definitely come down. But ultimately, consequently, if you see from the few of the absolute numbers, they remain same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, will remain same, but you know that the market always looks for higher. If a company posts the same result, market discount always. So we are looking at our company should become like, for example, $1 billion company. So to reach to the direction, what extra they are doing, or like this is one thing. Second is that, like as you mentioned, that we have almost utilized our existing capacity, and they are still on the drawing board or in the think tank of the brownfield, which will still take time. So what efforts we are taking to increase the value addition in terms of getting the high realization? This can be done either by selling high margin products or by selling to high margin generating customers for the country. So which segment we are targeting, or are we targeting or no?
First of all, thank you very much for your vision. We also wish to fast pace, and that is our endeavor as well. However, we need to look in the whole system on holistic business, and we are always there to see that we improve upon our margin. Of course, that is always the endeavor of the management. You can also see that our costs in absolute terms are going down. In fact, if you see our power costs, if you see our wages costs, even with the increase in the overall production or overall sales value, still gone down only. So we are having complete cost control. So that is one of the areas where we are focusing control, even in such inflationary times. Secondly, for value, definitely we are trying to go for more and more value addition, and accordingly we are focusing on various value-added products. Like we are seeing that a lot of sustainable products are in great demand, are also fetching good prices. So we are working on that area. Also, we are looking at the fashion segment where the realizations are on the higher side. So there also we are focusing, and plus we are also looking for better, higher kind of products where the per unit realizations are better. So that is focus and will continue to remain.
And what about, sir, this for high margin yielding market, like the US, in US also, for example, there are many customers, there is a Target, there is some other, like it is Walmart, so on so. So are we also just in your strategy or in your business strategy, are we targeting that this summer is, here we are getting higher margin, so comparatively we should allocate more quota for the sales for this one. Something will be happening?
Yeah, of course, that is also a part of the strategy to go for a higher, as I said, that higher value products to higher value added customers. So definitely we are getting accreditations from various brands on a consistent basis, and that is a continuous strategy for us, especially for our fabric division. So we are trying to get accreditation from various customers all around the world, and that is a continuous process for us.
Did we get some new accreditation during Q2?
Yeah, we also got few accreditations during the Q2 as well.
Okay. And sir, when you mentioned about fabric, are we B2B or B2C? Do we have our own brand also, or are we just selling to business?
No, we are not having our brand. It is a B2B business.
Yesterday we heard about some other business, so it's not to the brand. That's fine. But my other important question is on finance cost. Finance cost has not significantly come down if you compare H1 to H1 of the last year. So it's hardly 5.4%, something which is very negligible. And now considering that the finance cost in the market is significantly down, like if people are a company getting this, CP and everything is 3.6 or 4%. And generally, a good company can get, I think, getting interest rate at 6 to 7%. So currently, what is your finance cost? Number one. Number two, now this quarter company has posted a fantastic result. Even if you exclude this exceptional items, it's only one time cost. It is very good result. So what plan the management has to get the re-rating of the company so that the interest rate can be reduced, and what are the different strategies being taken so that we can retire some high cost term loan and just replace it to some extent by CP, which are always available at very low, and so on. This is an area which can be affected only by the internal management of the company. It has nothing to do with the customer, nothing to do with the cotton price, and whatever you can see is good for everybody. I would like to hear your detailed answer on this.
Of course, this is a part which we have to continuously do it. As you rightly said, that the cost substantially has not gone down from last quarter to this quarter. Now, since our credit ratings have been changed and credit ratings are getting improved, so already we are rated by CARE. So we are already our new rate of interest will be applicable in this year itself, in this particular quarter itself. So definitely there will be a reduction in the rate of interest going forward. That is a continuous process. As far as high debt cost is concerned, we are already getting on most of our term loan debt the Rajasthan scheme subsidy. So our cost is already on the lower side, and there we are constrained to repay those. Most of the debts have already been repaid. Working capital also is going down only. So you will see a reduction in the cost in the coming quarter going forward in our interest cost. So it is also our endeavor to bring down the cost by using various tools. So definitely that is a part of our continuous strategy, which we definitely do regularly.
Yes. Yes, sir. Like I have seen that we have repaid substantial amount, 230 crore has been repaid. So definitely cost will come down in absolute terms. I'm just talking like being chartered accountant. I'm just talking in terms of the fine line. That what is the interest rate? So they suppose since we are always repaying the loans and we already repaid the loans. So definitely even if the same interest maintained, the finance cost in this quarter will be definitely down. But what I'm saying, what efforts or what specific efforts we are taking to get the rate reduction. So if in case of term loan, if there is any subvention scheme available from central government, no problem. So it means like what restructure scheme we are taking, so that at least we refinance this, for example, this high cost loan with a new loan, or we take some other CP or some other loan, so that like this high loan repaid, so it's a high cost loan is repaid, so that our finance cost will be substantially lesser in the next quarter as compared to only reducing the finance cost by way of repaying the loan and the marginal discount available in the new rate, because by rating a loan the rate will be not much lower. So by reducing the interest rate only by little reduction due to the new rating, there will not be substantial improvement in the finance cost. It has to be done by the full full basket. One is the re-rating. Second is to do some refinancing, either by way of new term loan at a reduced rate or by CP or something. So what are you doing on this?
So I think you have given a lot of valuable inputs for us to ponder about. Definitely, we always consider all those facts. I will not be able to clearly give you our strategy over a conference call. I hope you can understand this. And if you need, we will let you know separately about this, how we are working on this. But definitely, I can assure you that even we are also more worried about this part and looking into reduction of the interest.
Mr. Kumar, I'm sorry to interrupt, but may I please request you to rejoin the queue for your follow-up after this question? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, we would be taking the last two questions. The next question is from the line of Pulkit Singhal from Dalmus Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Congrats on a good set of numbers. So my first question is, you mentioned about export demand being 40% higher and domestic demand recovering. So clearly, demand side, things are getting a lot better, and supply side for the industry is at least 2 years out in terms of addition of capacities. So why would in such a scenario spreads not expand further rather than contract?
Economic principles with this side, definitely, and that's why you are seeing that our margins are increasing quarter-on-quarter basis since last 3-4 quarters. Only thing which is restricting us is how much our cost with inflation which is happening in various, apart from the yarn business, also in dyes, chemicals, other intermediaries, coal costs, various other costs which is involved in the manufacturing of textiles is passed on to the consumer. How much is the consumer resistant towards this? So we are seeing that on the retail side also, the prices, recently it has been declared that hosiery manufacturers are increasing their prices across board, and same is, if we see the increase happening going forward, then definitely you will further margin expansion is always possible.
But so why would the retail, I'm just trying to understand the elasticity of demand. If there is no supply and even if costs are higher by 10%, what choice do they have?
Of course, the demand is elastic. We cannot say that the demand is inelastic because The customers always have choice not to buy or postpone their purchases. Definitely that is there. Yes. And it also, a lot of it depends on the GDP growth in our own countries, how the various segments of the people are behaving. Like if the rural growth is more, then we see the downstream lower products having very good growth. How is the urban growth? So this depends. Of course, there is demand elasticity involved. We cannot say that there is no demand elasticity. And people are always, whenever there is a substantial increase in price of any product, we always see that normally people initially resist to buy, see whether this is for permanent or this is something which is temporary, and then go for the major buying. So always you have phases of such kind happening over a period of time.
Right. And lastly, in terms of supply increases, as you might have seen in the past cycle, supply comes up fast if there's a favorable margin scenario. Now, when you look at this cycle, one reason you mentioned for delayed supply was availability of machinery itself due to semiconductor issues, which seems like a very peculiar issue for this cycle. But what else is different in the sense that are there some availability of finance? Is that more of an issue in this cycle? And or is there also an element that the players, the larger players also have been a bit hesitant to increase supply because they were not sure how long this situation would last. So I'm just trying to understand what are the various reasons, apart from machinery availability, where industry level supply may not increase as much.
So first of all, if you see if you compare this cycle with the last two cycles, uptrend cycles which we have seen, first is the last two cycles, the growth in the industry was fueled by the subsidies which the central government was giving or then the state government was giving. So the initial capacity came up because there was a substantial interest subsidy or there were certain incentives to set up the manufacturing factories. So that was the initial premise on which various factories or various capacity in the spinning has come in. Also, those capacities which had come in were not of a economic size sometimes. Even the smaller capacities were also on board because a lot of bank financing was available. Now, this time, the difference is we are seeing that most of the capacity expansion is coming on the basis of the demand which we are seeing first, not based on any incentive. Secondly, most of the existing players who are having sound financial numbers are able to get the expansion done. So it's more of a brownfield expansion and existing players adding the capacity. So definitely existing players are adding to their capacity going forward, but that is they are also measured since once a lot of capacities come and the margins come down, so they are measured in the increasing capacity.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. We take the last question from the line of Ajit, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good evening to the management and thank you for including my question. Sir, I would like to quote a media report, so I'm not sure about its correctness. This is about our company bidding for the spinning assets of Sintex Industries under NCLT. So, first of all, I would just ask you to confirm whether that is a valid report. And my question is, is this just about the management trying to test the waters, or is the management sending a signal that they are open to inorganic acquisitions in a way to expand? Yes, please, sir.
So, resolution by the RP, and we are seeing a very strong demand in our sector. So we are definitely open to any inorganic growth prospects to our philosophy and our size. So definitely we are open to that.
Okay. Sir, in one of your past conference call, maybe 1 or 2 quarters ago, you had mentioned one of the side effects of this pandemic was that a lot of unorganized capacities had closed down, maybe 5 to 7%. So, would you be looking at some local capacities, because Bhilwara itself is considered as the spinning capital of the country. So would there be opportunities that would come around your area that you may, in a very short notice, be able to acquire and augment your capacity?
First of all, we are fortunate enough here in Rajasthan has gone to NCLT or has closed down. So frankly, that opportunity does not exist in Rajasthan at the moment.
Okay.
At least in Bhilwara, I would say, where we have closed out. Earlier, so I had clearly mentioned that we are not looking for very small capacity. Also, that it should suit our philosophy of economic size, and that is where we are going to look at. All these capacities which have closed down and still not able to start are the ones which are not economically viable in many cases.
Okay.
Because having the older machines, technology has become older, they are consuming their power cost, their employee cost will consistently remain high because of various technological disadvantages they have.
All right, I understand. Sir, this would be my last question. I understand we may be overshooting the time. My last question is, sir, nowadays there are a lot of media reports about awareness about wastage in textile industry. There is some concept called as, I was reading circular apparel innovation, or maybe I think it refers to some kind of recycling of used apparels or used textiles. So broadly, it was mentioned that this comes under the ESG norms, and we know that international players take these kind of norms very seriously. So do you get any sense that this, in the future going forward, this would mean some very strict compliance standards for supplier companies like you, which are very early in the supply chain? Any effect you can see of this over the next in the near future?
First of all, already brands are looking into our ESG philosophies and ESG compliances. They are already compliant on many fronts. Or we are using a lot of recycled and then again spin them. That is one of the facts. With also sustainable fibers like organic cotton, various initiatives of fair trade and others. So on the power side, we are having solar capacities. On the water side, we are using a lot of recycling of the water is happening. So already we are on that path of maintaining those standards. So we do not see any challenge on that front. In fact, that company. So that is something which we have already complied with and ahead of various other competitors of ours.
Okay, sir. Thank you for taking all questions patiently, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Avnish Chandra for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Congratulations, sir, on a continued strong performance since we are shooting out of time. So just sir, one quick question. Let's say we finalize some plan, some capex plan in 2-3 months, and we start acting execution on maybe April onward. Can something come towards the end of FY23? Is there any possibility in any segment?
Definitely, Avinash, it's our endeavor to bring something on board in next financial year. We will definitely try balancing in the existing businesses will be definitely possible, and we will look forward. But I cannot commit on that part that we will definitely have, because we have to look at the aspects of delivery of the equipment as well as the availability of various other regulatory approvals.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Dinesh sir and Maheshwari sir, for spending your valuable time and providing us the opportunity to host your call.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to thank all the participants joining us and sharing their valuable thoughts. I hope we have been able to answer all the questions satisfactorily. However, should any other further clarifications would be required or you would like to know more about our company, feel free to contact us or our investment relation advisor.